My dear viewers, I'm from Bazm-e-Sheikh Iqbal, again in touch with you, talking with you. And my today's subject is very interesting, I feel, for me, and it would be a bit interesting for you also. The topic which I have undertaken to discuss is the story of my blindness. The story of my blindness. It would be in many talks because it is very long as well as a very short story. I have one thing to begin with. I must tell you that although I lost my eyesight when I was 7 years old, but later on I started feeling as if I were not blind. And I never deemed myself to be blind. On my visiting cards or on the writing pad or elsewhere, I have never written blind with my name. I have never got any benefit in the name of blindness. And it is very, sometimes, although it proves to be very difficult for me, and it did prove difficult for me, all my friends have got one thing, disability certificate. I have not even got that disability certificate because in my heart of hearts I feel, though I can't see, yet I can see more than many. And I have got almost all the advantages, all the benefits, all the pleasures which a person can possibly dream of. Although I may not say, no one can say with even more than two eyes, if at all there be, as in the Greek mythology we have gods and goddesses who have got 100 eyes. Even with 100 eyes, one can't be satisfied and one can't see the world one is living in. Anyway, the title then, how should I justify the title? It's the story of my blindness. One thing is that by viewers, if at all anybody wants to know about blindness, it should be easy for him to find out. And secondly, I must tell you, when I went blind, no doubt I faced difficulties. Sometimes this blindness, the darkness, which overcame sometimes, and sometimes I overcame all these things. And I succeeded in very many cases, which I will discuss later on. No doubt, blindness is blindness. It has its predicaments, its drawbacks, but compensations are there. The blessings Almighty are there. Yes, I must tell you the story of my blindness. At present, I am more than 77. I am in my 78th year. I was born in 1945. I was born in where my parents must be knowing better, though they tell me, they have been telling me that it was some village of District Karnal, and then they shifted to even District Karnal, East Punjab. And now I am residing in Sargodha. That is, I am residing in 13 Lalazar Al Farooq Colony, University Road, Sargodha, Pakistan. This simply to give you my home address. If at all anybody would like to contact me on this address. I remember the 6-7 years when I could see, although I could partially see. When I was born, I couldn't see with all the glamour and glory fully. There was something wrong with the eyes. But later on, it began dwindling. But in these 6-7 years, I saw the flowers of life, the flower-like people, some beautiful faces, the moonlit night, its charms, the green fields, the sweet morning, the setting sun, my parents. Although I may not be recalling very much, but I saw all colors which always were present in one form or the other. I saw these things. I moved from lane to lane, from street to street. I was living in Khushab, in fact. My father got migrated from India to a place, Joya, which is close 9 years kilometer probably from Khushab. Then we came back to Khushab in Mohalla Alampana, 1933. 1930, that is the house number 1933. So that was not a big place. I could not, even if I could see, I could not see much more over there. That was simply just like a very small town. And when I got admitted in a school for the normal people, for say for sighted people, I studied there for 2 or 3 years, and then I could not properly study, and therefore I left it. Then difficult, certainly when I went totally blind, no doubt it was a hell. Then I was thrown into the quagmire of loneliness. The friends, it appeared, fled away. Movement was curtailed. I could not go. If at all I went outside, it was difficult. There were so many difficulties, so many hurdles on the way. So, but in spite of all that, my parents were as loving to me as before. They must have been very much concerned at my eyesight when my eyesight just dwindled, when I lost my eyesight. But they did not express any frustration at that time. Obviously, the love remained the same. And I was no doubt a bit in a difficulty. When they sent me in a mosque, there was only one Maulvi Sahib and nobody else. I could not possibly continue over there. It appeared to be just an alien experience, a very strange experience. Then I got admitted in a madrasa. That was highly horrifying. But this experience lasted for 2-3 months of mosque and the madrasa. Then we came to know about a school, Sherawala Gate, Lahore. Then it was called, now it is called Government Institute for the Blind. Then it was called Emerson Institute for the Blind inside Sherawala Gate, Lahore. So that was a place where I saw that I lost nothing probably. I appeared to be forgetting everything because the blind over there, my class fellows, they were full of joviality, agility, movement, confidence, running, risking even everything, but they did not bother even if they faced difficulties. And our blind teachers, some of us were the blind, some were sighted, they were so full of confidence, full of resistance against all taboos, and they made me believe, and they made all the blind believe that our blindness is blindness, no doubt, but our difficulties are not our difficulties. Our society is responsible for our difficulties because we didn't have then any gadgets. There were only one school at Lahore and one at Bahawalpur, or probably one might have been there in Karachi. So over there, I gained confidence when I went to Lahore, in that school, and I started taking interest in books. I learned Braille. In the beginning, it appeared to me very odd what it was like, but then I started reading Braille. That is a system of 6 dots, and its variations make 62 dots probably. All letters are there within those 6 dots. So that became Then it became quite easy for me. I started reading books, English books as well as Urdu books were hardly available then, but whatever was available, I read over there. And teachers were some very kind. That was a time probably I feel as we have irregularities in our times, it was not like that. The classes started in time, ended in time. Teacher came to the school, they took the class, and nothing which is now at present the situation is going on, that never existed when I studied in that school. So, for 4 years I stayed over there. It was really a very enjoyable period, although in the beginning difficulties were there. Adjustment takes some time, but then it became very easy. When I left Lahore, when people left their school, they started weeping because we were so much attached with that institution, with that school, and even now, most of the dreams are related to that school within that inside Sharawala Gate. It does happen. Past has its own fascination, its own attraction. So then, after 4 years, I continued my studies, and even within those 4 years, whenever I went to my house, which I at Hushab, my father read out to me books, and when I got the certificate, when I completed my course of 4 years in 1960, so he placed a challenge. There was a challenge for me and for him also that I should take the matriculation examination next year. What a Herculean task it was. But I had all the zeal and zest to go ahead. The books I read, I used to recount how many words I read in those books. And I used to even speak all alone. English was my passion right from the very beginning, even in Lahore. In Khushab, difficulties were there, but I sometimes deemed my chairs, even the bricks of the house, to be living beings, and I began talking with them. I often talked with them, deeming them to be living human beings. So that was a craze, that was a passion, that was an inner urge. I don't know from where it came. And I forgot that I was blind. But I remembered that I had to forge ahead. I had to make life worth living. Because when I went blind, even my relatives started 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 finding fault with my father and said that perhaps my blindness was the result of his some sin which he committed. And most of my relatives considered, and they taunted my father that your son would do nothing. He will be simply begging, nothing else. So these words I unconsciously or consciously infused in me a life, a, a strong, tenacious life, a gusto, a zest to go ahead. So I took matriculation examination and I passed it first division. So that was the first phase of my career, which continues even now. I shall be again continuing with this talk because series of the sweet reminiscences of the past. I hope you would keep listening and you would be subscribing and you will convey all these experiences, share all these experiences with your friends and kith and kin. Thank you very much.